Let's design some brand new Pokemon. This is Orova. It's a brand new fan-made Pokemon region based on the culture, landscape, and history of California. I'm Tam Valley Productions, the creator of this region, and if you're new here, I've designed a set of starters and their evolutions, some bug, water, and even regional form Pokemon for the Orova region, and the games that they're the setting of, Pokemon Carbon and Silicon. If you haven't seen those videos, check them out below. However, the creation of Orova is a huge undertaking, so I couldn't do it without all of your help. Luckily, so many of you have left comments both on here and in Discord about new Pokemon that you want to see in Orova. So today, let's bring your ideas to life. Pokemon based on your ideas. Let's get into it. So the first suggestion comes to us from Max Solis, who wants to see either a saber-toothed tiger or a California condor Pokemon. Both are essential California animals that I want to include in the region, and I'll likely save the saber-tooth for the fossil Pokemon video. So there's no better time to make a condor Pokemon than now. California condors are iconic animals of the American Southwest, and ironically they're actually less associated with California nowadays. In ancient times, these massive birds would roam the entire Pacific coast, but due to a variety of factors, both man-made and not man-made, they came to be on the brink of extinction until there was only one remaining flying condor around the Grand Canyon in the 1980s. Since then, they've rebounded thanks to breeding, but these animals will always be associated with near death and an example of possible extinction right in front of humanity's very eyes. That ghastly connection runs deeper as well, since condors are, well, look at them. They're a type of vulture. They're animals with a creepy look, large plumage for long distance flying, and bald heads, so they can cleanly dig through the carcasses of dead animals. They're iconic scavengers, and native people of California recognized this long ago, when tales of condors were shared as symbols of death and rebirth. The plumage of these respected animals was also worn as ceremonial dressage for shamans, which were community leaders thought to have healing powers associated with the spirit world in some way. So what if we made a ghost-type condor Pokemon family? One that was once more prominent but is now a very rare encounter in the desolate parts of Orova, where they're considered symbols of death both due to their habit of living in deserts and scavenging dead Pokemon, but also because they're actually undead spirits of a long-lost Pokemon species that went extinct. Introducing Musquaw, the morbid Pokemon. Musquaw are reborn spirits of flying Pokemon that thrived during the last Ice Age. However, since the colonization of Orova, that original species died off, leaving only Musquaw to roam the desolate Badlands, mountains, and deserts of southeastern Orova. They're keen watchers, perching carefully on dry branches of cacti to look for the carcasses of the dead on which they feast. They also emit haunting cries to ward off or disorient lost hikers. These Pokemon are inspired by condors, of course, but also smaller scavenger birds like ravens, who are widespread across North America and also famously are associated with death. Musquaw would be spirit Pokemon, hence the ghost type, but inhabiting a physical body of some sort, as you can see by its actual wings and its skull-like face, which is supposed to be like the bald head of a condor as well as a skeleton. That's also where its name comes from. Musquaw is derived from mask, squaw, and macabre, a word that means something that has an association with death. This is its habitat. I think it wouldn't be exclusively a desert bird, but it would also live in Orova's equivalents to Yosemite, Death Valley, and some deserted old ghost towns. So it would survive just about everywhere that it could find desolate places to hang out and eat carcasses. Musquaw would be the first in a two-stage line, since I think we need to circle back to the other design elements I mentioned of Native American shamans, and really make this thing a fearsome giant condor. Introducing Muscondor, the shaman Pokemon. Anthropologists have determined that Muscondor hold the same meaning to ancient Orovian cultures that Absol does in other regions, bringers of death. In reality, Muscondor are simply keen watchers who attempt to guide Orovians in avoiding mistakes from the past, such as the ravaging of natural landscapes. They're found perched alone on desert cliffs. They have very powerful wings that can fly very far, while plucked feathers hold healing powers from the spirit world. So these Pokemon would be extremely rare encounters in Orova, being associated with death in a feared way, but also respected in the sense that people are aware of this Pokemon's tragic past of extinction and its high degree of intelligence. Muscondor would understand this, It would rarely interfere with human activity, but it would step in to seek vengeance on those who continue to destroy Orova's ecosystems. However, going back to our shaman origins, this Pokemon would also be connected to the spirit world in the same way that Pokemon like Dusknoir are. It would have the ability to heal and protect using mysterious rituals like shamans did. That's why its wings are so broad, so it can function like a shaman's outfit, while also reflecting the massive wingspan of condors. Visually, I took inspiration from Decidueye, Mandibuzz, and Corviknight while designing this Pokemon, but I also think it stands alone with a distinct backstory, design, and personality. It's honestly one of my favorite Orovian Pokemon I've designed so far. Let me know what you think. Moving on to our next suggestion, Neckhorse wants to see either a bug, flying, or rock type. Well, I just made a flying type, and I have a few rock types that I'm still cooking up for a future video. So let's give the people what they want and make another bug type, to go with the 2 evolution lines I made in the last video. I actually have the perfect idea for a bug type for the most random reason. Earlier this summer, I went on a great road trip from California to Colorado, and I was able to stop in a few national parks, including the amazing Arches National Park. That's where a bunch of future ideas come from for rock, steel, and ground types. But I got the most random idea to make some kind of desert bug Pokemon, after seeing this ant, of all things, crawling through the cracks in some rocks. It got me thinking about what it would take for such a tiny creature to survive in such a harsh landscape. They must be tough, resilient, and smart. Maybe we could make some sort of ant-bug Pokemon that's toughened by the rugged desert and the lack of resources, so it takes on the role of an explorer or a cowboy. Maybe it creates its own version of a Pony Express trail, where it creates nests of cactus nectar distributed evenly across the desert in a network. That behavior of nest linking is actually been observed by real-life ants. So I think that would fit the California-inspired region pretty well. I went to look for specific ants to base this Pokemon off of, and I found this guy. Look at that name, the High Noon Ant. Are you kidding me? This Pokemon pretty much writes itself. So with those inspirations in mind, let's meet Antlaw, the vigilante Pokemon. Antlaw live in the rough deserts of Orova, where they can be found surviving off of limited supplies of nectar. It's a strategic Pokemon that will build nests in trail formations, so it can have outposts of resources all across the desert that it patrols. Antlaw are fiercely defensive, altruistically defending smaller Pokemon. Antlaw will routinely protect those Pokemon by sharing resources and fighting bullies with its gun-like hollow claws that it loads with sand. So this dual bug and fighting type, whose name derives from ant and outlaw, represents exactly what we were going for. A bug Pokemon that, despite its small size, compared to other desert-dwelling Pokemon, fights tirelessly on the side of good, serving as sort of the sheriff for the lawless Orovian deserts. That's why I think it's sort of cool that its design came out to be more sheriff-y than cowboy, because I think its helmet and head looks like the bowl hats worn by Old West sheriffs. And its bug mandibles kind of look like an old-timey mustache. Let me know if you agree. I feel like the body looks good too. I made its arms and legs kind of look like lasso ropes to show how it's durable, yet flexible. And its pincers look like gun barrels to show how it can load them up with sand and other debris and shoot them for some long-range dueling, like an Old West standoff. I think that's a good way of showing how this Pokemon has some sort of defense, without being an actual object. Overall, I love how Antlaw came out. It's a good representation of the more old-fashioned and rugged parts of Orova. Let's create one final Pokemon today. This one comes at the request of Jonas Diaz, who dropped a bunch of awesome requests. I'm already working on an early water bird and an early grass type, so let's focus on this interesting middle request. A good physical electric type with both fighting and dark in mind. Well, let's start off with the idea of electric. I think an obvious requirement for Orova is the Pika clone that every region seems to have. It's a tradition at this point, so why not create one now? The suggestions of fighting and dark types also give some interesting ideas for how to set this Orovian Pika clone apart from the pack. So every Pika clone is based off of some sort of rodent, so naturally I turned to California's list of native rodents. But all of these seem like they were deserving of types other than electric. So why not create one based off of a very generic type of rodent that isn't based on California, but rely on the secondary typings to give it that Orovian flavor. I chose to make either a gerbil or a hamster Pokemon. I think those would work well for a Pikachu-like creature. We could make a domestic pet Pokemon, one that in the recent past was a domestic companion for people in Orovian cities, but has since gone loose and it's bred in city parks, sewers, and streets, to become more feral. Hence the fighting and dark types. It could pull from greaser or punk subcultures as well, to show how it's a cute electric type with an aggressive flare. Introducing Pankamu, the delinquent Pokemon. Pankamu were once kept as pet Pokemon bred alongside Pikachu, Dedenne, and Morpeko. However, these feisty creatures proved hard to domesticate, especially when kept in urban environments due to their competitive natures. Now they live nocturnally in large cities of Orova, gnawing on power lines, neon signs, and other forms of electricity, both to satiate their gluttonous appetites and to store in their cheeks. They use this to spar and deter foes. So these small creatures are the signature Pika clones of the region, and their name follows the tradition of keeping the Japanese name, like all the other Pika clones. So this one is named Pankamu, from Panku, the Japanese word for punk, and Hamusuta, the Japanese word for hamster. Punk hamster is a really fitting description for these creatures, which I gave a nice mohawk to look like a punk rocker. These guys live in the Orova region's equivalents to San Francisco, LA, and Oakland, where they cause trouble at night as well as feed off electricity. In fact, their appetites allow them to transform not through evolution, but through a form change. Pankamu who feed off electricity can achieve their amped forms, where their pouches, cheek rings, and whole body glow neon yellow, and their fighting type turns into a dark type. So it's kinda like Morpeko, but instead of a single move changing type every turn like Aura Wheel, Pankamu has an alternate form that would activate and turn its general aggression into literal negative energy, enough to change its type. This could be achieved through a signature ability, Amp Up, which would activate when the Pokemon is at half health or below in battle. If you have ideas for any signature moves that could go with the Amp Up ability, let me know below, because I really like this idea of a fighting type that's already aggressive, turning even worse with a dark type switch. This one was both easy and hard to design because of its constraint of making it look like a Pika clone. I'm proud of how it came out looking like a mix of all of them, and also having a distinct shade of orange and those shades of neon yellow in the amped form to represent California's association with retro neon signs and general nightlife in those big cities. So, those are 4 original Pokemon that I just designed for the Orova region. They're all based off of your comments, ideas, and suggestions. I love that I was able to create a set of brand new Pokemon that's this varied, all based off of your ideas. It really underscores how collaborative I want this process to be. So keep those suggestions coming. Feel free to leave comments either on videos on this channel, or leave suggestions in the official Tam Valley Productions Discord, which I'm gonna link on screen right now. There's also a link below. There's a whole channel there dedicated exclusively to talking about the Orova region and leaving comments to suggest ideas for what to do next. Plus, the Discord as a whole is a great way to meet people who are fans of pop culture, Pokemon, and Nintendo, as well as share memes and good art. So go ahead and join that if you'd like. Also, if you haven't noticed, I have a brand new studio behind me, since I moved to a new apartment for what is likely my last year of college. Exciting stuff, I know. So that means I'll be figuring out a new setup for videos here, so bear with me for a little bit. But that also means that I'm going to double down hard this semester and continue strong with general videos about the stuff I love, as well as the Orova region, where I do hope to finish the Pokédex by the calendar year's end, while concurrently making videos about the game's plot, setting, and characters, which I've gotten started on, and it's pretty exciting. So stay tuned for all of that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.